The restaurant was elegant, warm, and expensive. The kind of place where deals were celebrated and victories were toasted with crystal glasses of wine. But tonight, no one was celebrating. At the center table sat Ethan Cole, the CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country. Magazines called him a genius. Employees called him unstoppable. Investors called him the future. Yet in this moment, Ethan felt none of those things. His phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Each vibration felt like another crack in the empire he had spent 15 years building from nothing. A $100 million merger, months of negotiations, endless meetings, sleepless nights, was collapsing in real time. Across the table, his legal team whispered urgently. Engineers stared at their screens, pale and silent. One wrong clause. One misunderstood detail. One last-minute demand. Everything was unraveling during dinner. Ethan stared at his untouched plate. The steak had gone cold. The wine glass remained full. He didn't notice. All he could hear was his own heartbeat. The weight of a lifetime. Ethan hadn't always been powerful. He grew up watching his father work 2 jobs and still come home exhausted, defeated by a system that never gave second chances. From a young age, Ethan promised himself one thing: I will never be powerless. That promise pushed him through college, through rejection letters, through years of failure that no one ever writes about. And now it felt like the universe was testing him. His phone lit up again. A message from the opposing CEO. If this isn't resolved in the next 20 minutes, we walk. 20 minutes. 20 minutes to save everything. Ethan rubbed his temples, trying to think clearly, but panic flooded his mind. That's when he noticed her. The invisible presence. She had been there the entire evening, moving quietly between tables, refilling glasses, clearing plates. Her name tag read, Lena. To most people in the room, she was invisible. But Lena noticed everything. She noticed how the conversations at Ethan's table had turned sharp and hurried. She noticed the way his hands trembled slightly when he picked up his phone. She noticed that he hadn't taken a single bite of food. She had seen this before, not in boardrooms, but in people. Stress, fear, the silent kind of breaking. Lena hesitated. She wasn't trained to handle billion-dollar crises. She wasn't paid to offer comfort. She was just a waitress. But she was also human. And sometimes that's enough. A simple choice. Lena walked to the coffee machine and poured a fresh cup. Not because it was ordered, end parenthesis, but because it felt right. She approached Ethan's table carefully. The conversation stopped, distracted, almost irritated. Yes. She placed the cup in front of him. On the house, she said with a soft smile. You looked like you could use something warm. Ethan blinked. For a moment, he didn't understand why this small gesture felt. Lena leaned in slightly and added quietly, so only he could hear, whatever is breaking tonight, you're still standing. Then she stepped away. No advice, no questions, no expectations, just kindness. The pause. Something strange happened. Ethan took a breath. A real one. The noise around him faded. For the first time that night, he wasn't being demanded from. He wasn't being pulled apart by expectations. Someone had seen him. Not the CEO, not the decision-maker, but the person. He picked up the coffee. It was warm, grounding. Ethan closed his eyes for 3 seconds, and in those 3 seconds, clarity returned. The call that changed everything. He opened his eyes and looked at his team. "Give me the room," he said calmly. They froze. "Now," he repeated. Reluctantly, they stepped away. Ethan picked up his phone and made one call, not to a lawyer, not to an investor. He called the other CEO directly. No scripts, no pressure, just honesty. "Let's stop posturing," Ethan said. "We're both here because we believe in the same future. If this deal collapses, we both lose more than money." Silence. Then the other voice softened. "All right," the man said. "Let's fix it." They did, clause by clause. Honest conversation, replacing fear. When the call ended, the deal wasn't just saved, it was stronger. The aftermath. The room erupted in relief. Lawyers smiled. Engineers exhaled. But Ethan wasn't celebrating. He looked across the restaurant, searching Lena wiping down a nearby table. He stood up and walked toward her. Recognition. "Excuse me," Ethan said. Lena looked up, surprised. "Yes, sir?" "I just wanted to say thank you," he said. "You have no idea what you did tonight." She smiled politely. "I'm glad the coffee helped," she replied. "It wasn't the coffee," Ethan said softly. "It was the reminder." He reached into his pocket and left a generous tip, but more importantly, a note. Lena read it later that night. It said, "In my darkest moment, you reminded me I was still human." That saved more than a deal, period. Ethan. The true meaning of success. Days later, headlines celebrated the successful merger. Business shows praised Ethan's leadership under pressure. No one mentioned Lena, and that was okay, because kindness doesn't need applause. Somewhere in that restaurant, a small act of humanity had changed the course of a company and a man. And that's why we believe this. Stars of kindness don't shine above us. Period. They stand quietly beside us when we need them most. Period.